Heavy rain. Heavy rain, dry race. Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Yo, JD here, and we are here for, I believe, round 11 of ILR here today at Germany. Not Nürburgring, unfortunately, which is definitely my preferred track out of the two. And as mine alluded to there, heavy rain for this full qualifying session, and it's going to be a full dry race. And this is my qualifying up here now, and you may notice the gears have revved out quite a bit because I've actually changed my driving style. A lot of people say I already do that already. But unfortunately, on this game, it actually gives you better stopping power and the engine doesn't get damaged at all. So you will be seeing that. And it's definitely been helping me because I've been watching the likes of VSR Simon, who does that a lot. And I've seen some other people very quick as well. And I noticed they don't really go into 8th gear that often. So you can see here, not going into 8th gear at all, but it just gives you better stopping power as we just missed that hairpin there. This is still my fastest lap, and the qualifying is going really good at the moment as well. But yeah, as I was saying, unfortunately you will see that. But my thoughts coming into this race, I've done quite well at this track in the past on previous games, but I don't know what it was. My pace was fairly good. I think maybe a 10th or 2 tenths slower and surprised the Simon. Race pace was still good though, but I just didn't feel comfortable around here. I don't know why. I just felt like I didn't have good traction. No matter what I changed on the setup, I just didn't have good traction, just didn't have good confidence around here. So I wasn't really expecting to do that well here. So I was just going to give it my absolute best and then moving on to Hungary, which is going to be a much better track for me. So coming across the last corner now, coming across the line now, we go P2, only just behind Veloce Surprise. But now Simon is actually on pole with a 22.4, and now we're coming across the line again, and we were up, but then we actually lost it in the last sector, so we've actually managed to come P3.
Fucking disconnect, rejoin. My pedals don't work. Leave, rejoin, drop out of the pits, lose my front wing, drive round, and get to do one lap. So yeah, my quali session went fucking brilliantly. So I'm just going to bolt mediums and just go fucking ham. Get a top 5, I think.
So unfortunately for mine, he disconnected from that there, which is pretty unfortunate for us as well, because in the constructors, I think the driver's title is going to be very difficult to try and win, but the constructors as well and truly on, mainly because Surprise and Simon don't really have a teammate. We're missing quite a few teammates, so we've got 3 lights here, starting P3 on the grid, another good qualifying session. As the lights now just go out now, trying to get a good start, but it's a very short run down to this turn 1. But we actually get a pretty good start, but Joe gets a very good start, trying not to squeeze him onto that curb, but we get luckily no contact there, and we manage to skate through, maintaining our P3 position. Going into turn 2 now, Joe's going down the inside of us, so we've got to leave a little bit more room again, but again, like Silverstone, it seems to be, I've put a lot of practice into mainly qualifying, to be honest. I just really want to get a good quality position, and it's really paying off at the moment. We've got two top 3s now, if I can get my words out, in the last 2 races now. So just trying to still hold on to that position. And now Joe came under attack from Joe again, but luckily it's managed to handle it. And now I've got a very good run on Surprise. We're going to go down the inside of him, and just for once we're actually going to have a little bit of battle with him, but he gives us some nice racing room, but we couldn't make the move stick. And now we're slotting him behind. But this is exactly where we want to be now. We want to be with Simon as Surprise. I've been saying it for a long time now. I believe we've got the race pace. We just need to be near them. And now this is our chance. We actually are near them. But unfortunately, this track, if this was Silverstone and I was in this position, this would be great. But this track here, as I said, I wasn't really too confident around here. But I felt it was enough. And the slipstream is still incredibly powerful, so we could just stay with them. We can see how much time we're sacrificing as well. We got 1 warning on that first lap, and I can confirm that's the only warning we got that entire race. So last 2 Grand Prix combined, we've only had 1 warning, so that's pretty good. But we need to push on in this first stint now, and I think something I need to work on a little bit more is my latter race pace is very good in the second stint of the race, but I think in the first one, once I'm just getting used to the track, and you can see we're just losing the back end there. So at this point, I'm not really driving it well. I'm just being a bit too cautious because, as I said, I just felt really limited on traction here. I don't know why. I just felt like the circuit had no grip and practice or anything at all. I just not a fan of this track and this game. But we just got to do the maximum here, and we're just about still in DRS zones. We just really desperately need to keep within that 1 second window. But Surprise and Simon never really fight too much because, again, slipstream is just so powerful in this game. You don't really need to. It's actually better to be the car behind because you actually save tyres, you save fuel, you save ERS as well. I really hope next game they don't make the slipstream as powerful because it actually will promote quite a bit more actual racing, because that seems to be every round here. The front two get away, or whoever's in the lead gets away, and the people behind, they're just staying behind each other because there's no point going in front because you can't pull away. It's almost impossible to pull away. But at the moment, we're doing what we need to do. We're staying within the DRS zone of Surprise and Simon, who again, they're just not battling each other at all. So still doing okay now, coming towards the end of lap 5, but we're just not as quick as the front two. I think we're just lacking maybe half a tenth a lap. We're talking absolute fractions, but we're just not feeling that great round here. But we've still got a lot of fuel, we've still got a lot of ERS as well. You can see the gap is 9/10 of a second, leaving a little bit on the table here because it's very easy to pick up warnings at this track and get penalties, and that's really how I approach it. Really, I just kind of drive 95% rather than 100 because I just don't want to get any warnings or penalties. But you can see now we've actually dropped out the DRS zone because we just haven't been able to keep up with these guys. We're just that fraction slower per amount as Simon. I think it's the quickest guy in the game really at the moment. Surprise is right in his DRS, and it's going to be very hard to catch him up now. So coming towards the end of lap 9, you'll be able to see the gap again. Joe hasn't got past me at all. We managed to get a nice gap to P5, quite a big gap, and the gap is 1.3 seconds, so we're not really losing much time. The pace is good, it's just not quite the level of Simon really, to be honest. So we're going to make a bold decision here. Soft's going to last quite a long time, but what I didn't do at Silverstone, I'm going to do now. I'm actually going to go in early and actually for once do an undercut, which is something I never really do. I normally like to do an overcut because I like to have fresher tyres than anyone else at the end of the race. But now we'll actually go, it's a pretty big gamble to be honest, but go for an undercut. And it's a big gamble because the softs are still a pretty good tyre for 13-14 laps, and considering they're fresh from the start because we had the wet qualifying as well, it's a gamble with that if I'll make up any time in them at all. But luckily we come right behind Snazzy even, but you can see the medium tyres, they're a lot slower at the start, and we just locked up because there's no grip. They're just stone cold coming out of the pits at the moment. So we're going to move on to the next lap now. I haven't been able to get past them this lap. The others still haven't pitted yet at all. We're starting lap 11 of the race now. Normally you pit lap 13-14 on used stuff, so they're still doing pretty quick times. And I'm just doing this because I just want to hopefully maybe get ahead of a Surprise or Simon, and then just get that track position, and then hopefully be able to stay with them on the medium tyre, which is a very durable tyre to the end of the race, because as I said, slipstream is so hard. So we're going to go round the outside or round the inside, or Snazzy Evening is actually just going to let us pass here because he realises he's not in a battle with us. So thank you for that. He hasn't actually pitted yet, so we're on much newer mediums than him. But what I was saying was, since I was out the DRS zone of Surprise and Simon, I just went for this gamble to try and get out ahead of him, or just get within the DRS zone again, because if I could do that, even with a lot older tyres, they're so durable and the slipstream is so powerful that I'm really hoping I can stay with them, because I want to win. I don't want to come second or third. I want to win, start winning races in this league. I've come so close on other tracks. I've got the pace definitely to do it in the race, but I haven't hooked up the qualifying. Now I've actually hooked up the qualifying, I'm lacking a little bit of pace in the race around here, so I've just got to try and be smart and just do everything we can, because if I pit the same time as them, I don't think I'm able to catch them and go lose DRS. As we come out, Joe's pitted 2 laps later than us, and he's actually the same distance behind us, so the undercut really isn't working. Although we set the quickest lap just then, it's really not working as well. Surprise has now come out, and you can see on the mini-map, he's actually ahead of Mike Marshmallow. I think he's actually extended the gap. So he's actually got an overcut on me, and he's got 4 lap fresher tyres, 3 lap or 4 lap fresher tyres on me, and Joe's got 2 lap fresher tyres on me. It was a gamble worth taking, but I'm really hoping that they just get in traffic now. We've got Joe right behind, and it's going to be incredibly hard to shake him off because he's driving very, very well. And also it's going to be incredibly hard to try and catch Surprise now, because once I get a little bit of deg in these tyres, if I can't get within the DRS zone, then he'll probably get away from me. So we just got to really make the most of it. Simon is now going to come out of the pits now, and let's see what happens here. And it looks like Surprise has actually got ahead of Simon, so he chose his pit strategy pretty well there. And now we've definitely closer than Simon, who's got, I think, 4 lap fresher tyres and has 5 lap fresher tyres, which towards the end of the race could be pretty significant. Even though these are quite durable, it will definitely make a quite big difference. So I really need to stay with him now. But we're in the fight. We're still in the fight for this race lead, as Jork94, who hasn't pitted yet, Surprise has just got past him. But we really need to save this pack now. If I can stay with Simon, who's got the freshest tyres out of us 4, if I can use him to get to Surprise, that's kind of what I was thinking at this point. I wasn't really looking to overtake him. I was looking to try and just be a caravan to the back of him. And you can see we're staying with him quite nicely, but his tyres are still warming up, because they do take a good lap or so for these medium tyres to actually warm up. If we can save him and then get to Surprise and just get in the DRS train, with penalties and with how easy it is to overtake on the straight here, literally anything can happen. So we're still in a good position at this point. Although Surprise got a little bit of a gap, the game is not completely over, and we just got to get through this traffic as quick as possible, which most people pit. I think it's just Jork94 and my teammate Tyrrell Martin started at the back on the medium tyres. You can see on the mini-map there, just completing the first sector. He could possibly be a factor, but you notice we haven't really got much team radio. It's pretty much radio silence this race. He was just focusing so much. There's not really too much commentary from Martin, apart from the beginning qualifying at the end of the race as well. So we'll go try and get past this Renault, who looks like he's not really going to put up much of a fight, because he realises he hasn't pitted yet, so not on the same strategy. He's effectively a pit stop behind, so respectfully, he doesn't really battle me at all here, which is nice, but we've got to stay with Simon as much as possible. Joe is now going to go down the inside of the Renault as well, which you can see in the mirror there. And Surprise is not too far ahead, but I've got the worst tyres out of us 4 here, so it's essential for me that I stay ahead. Moving on to the next lap now, we're still comfortably staying with Summer. Pace felt pretty good at this point on the mediums. They definitely felt better than I had on the softs in practice. But again, I just need to stay with it. The gap is 9, I think it's 6 tenths actually, so still well within the DRS zone, but going through here, locking up a little bit, not hitting that apex perfectly, and the traction was not good coming off here at all, running no ERS through this section, and we just understeered, we just turned too late here, and we just lost so much time, and we've got no DRS coming off this last corner now. And see what the gap is, it's 1.1 seconds, and we just lost a lot of time through that. And we've got Joe nailed to the back of us as well. We've lost DRS and Simon, so the only hope really now for a race win is that if he catches Surprise, they start battling and then allow us to catch up, or they cure some penalties if they can do that. But we're just on 3 to 4 lap older tyres, and it's going to be very, very hard, as Joe has now got past me as well. I'm not really fighting this too much, because again, he seems to have very, very good pace around here. In fact, so maybe I could actually start using him to get back on the back of Simon once again, and then try and just salvage this race win, which I really desperately want. But moving on to lap 27 now, you can see Surprise has actually fallen victim to Simon. Simon's pace is just unreal in this game at the moment. He's just driving so well. Although we had older tyres, I think even if I had the same lap tyres as them, I just didn't have the pace, particularly that Simon had around here. He was just a beast around here. But we're going to go back past Joe now, and this is the battle for the podium now. P1, P2, not out of the question, as I said, because penalties around here are very, very easy to accumulate, and we've only had 1 warning this race so far, so we're still 2 warnings away from actual penalty. Lap 31 now, we've got Joe right behind, we've got a 4.9 gap between me and Surprise, and the pace is pretty good considering how much older tyres we're actually on. The deg is actually getting towards nearly 70 to 80% now, so although they shouldn't really puncture, they are definitely a lot worse than the cars ahead of us. So we just got to stay with Joe, and we'll go check to see what penalty he has, because I was asking Martin, but it was radio silence. I think he had his mic on mute. So now we're going to look to see if Joe's actually cured any penalties at all. So let's see what he's got. He's actually got 1 penalty. So he's got 1 3-second time penalty. So all I need to do is to make sure I don't lose DRS and he doesn't pull away by more than 3 seconds. And that should be a podium here. But I don't really like to do that. I like to actually finish P3 on track despite him having penalties. So we've been pushing really hard this last 2 laps. You can see pushing the boundaries of the track a lot more now. And I want to finish P3 on track, not just through him having a penalty. I really want to do that, and having him having much fresher tyres as well would just be a bonus and just a cherry on the cake really if I can do it. So you see he's starting to defend. We've got a lot of ERS who's still got fuel to go rich for this entire lap. He's going to start going defensive now, so we're going to go around the outside of him now. And let's see if he can make this move stick. As Vettel and Button S come around here. He's not forcing me on the cup. He's left me a lot of room here, but we still get quite good traction using overtake ERS mode, rich mix. And now we're going to go down the inside for this left-hander, spotting the braking zone, 100-meter board. And we've got the move done. We've actually managed to get back into P3 in this race. And let's see what the traction is like. Looks like he's not going to launch an attack because there's no real opportunity to overtake for the rest of this race now. So just managing to navigate these last 3 corners, going for this left-hander, which was a particular issue for me. I really did not like that corner. I mean, I think that's probably the most uncomfortable corner for me that I didn't check. But I like this double right-hander. Coming through here now as Simon wins the race. His pace was just really insane around here today. Coming across the line. And we've actually come P2 because Surprise has actually picked up 9 seconds worth of penalties. And that means he finishes just between me and Joe, who had a penalty as well. So if Joe didn't have a penalty, he would have come P3 and Simon P4. I've surprised P4. So we managed to somehow come P2 in that race, despite, as I said, just not feeling very good right now. I drove the best I could, made a few mistakes which cost me DRS, really gambled on the strategy for once, which is something I don't really do that often, but I thought that was my only chance to win a race, because outside of DRS it's going to be very hard to catch up to them again if they're not battling too much. I felt I drove a really good race, and getting P2 out of that pretty much feels like a win to me. And also shout out to Martin coming back from where he started to finish P5. That's just an incredible result for him and for Red Bull for the constructors as well. So I think that still leaves me P4 in the driver's title, but closing in on Joe. Surprise has still got a big lead, but we've still got a long season to go. And the constructors, Red Bull, we're doing very well. So hopefully you enjoyed this race. There'll be a 2 to 3 week break now until the 3rd of January to the next race. So thank you so much for watching and supporting my videos recently. Check out my other videos as well. Hopefully you're enjoying this, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.